How a broken rock became the first tool. It was not invented in a moment of brilliance, but discovered by accident, when a single fracture revealed that the world itself could be reshaped to serve human survival in ways the body alone never could. To understand why the first tool mattered, we must return to a time when the human body was insufficient, when early humans were weaker than predators, slower than prey, and constantly exposed to a world that punished every limitation without mercy. Teeth were dull, nails were soft, and bare hands struggled endlessly against hide, bone, and wood, forcing survival to depend on improvisation and chance rather than strength or design. Most objects failed quickly, offering only brief help before breaking or becoming useless, until one stone shattered in a different way, breaking sharply and forming an edge that cut deeper than fingers ever could and pierced where force alone always failed. This was not invention yet, but recognition, because someone noticed a difference immediately, realizing that shape mattered, that the edge bit with purpose, and that effort had suddenly become far more effective. At first, the tool was temporary, picked up, used, and discarded, but even brief use left a lasting memory that could not be undone. With a sharp stone, meat separated faster, hides opened cleaner, bones cracked with less energy, and survival demanded less struggle for the same result. The stone did not replace the hand. It extended it, and in that extension a quiet but dangerous idea formed. The world could be altered to suit the body, instead of the body endlessly adapting to the world. This was the first step away from survival by chance, and the first move toward survival by design. And once humans learned they could change objects to change outcomes, the future quietly shifted direction. Once the sharp stone proved useful, it stopped being an accident and started becoming a choice, because humans remembered the result and wanted to repeat it. Stones were no longer picked up randomly. Certain shapes were favored. Certain fractures were remembered. Humans began striking rocks together on purpose, not fully understanding why it worked, but knowing that sometimes the stone broke the right way. This repetition mattered. Each attempt left behind knowledge. Some stones shattered uselessly. Others produced edges that cut, scraped, and split with surprising precision. Failure taught as much as success. The accumulation of failed attempts was itself a form of education, training hands and eyes to recognize the subtle qualities that separated a useful fracture from a worthless one. Over time, hands learned where to strike. Angles became familiar. Force became controlled. What began as chance slowly turned into technique. Tools started lasting longer. They were carried instead of discarded. They were brought to hunts, to shelters, to places where work happened. The stone became part of daily life. This changed behavior. Planning replaced reaction. Humans began preparing tools before they were needed, trusting the future enough to invest effort in advance. The act of making something for later use required a kind of thinking that had not existed before, a projection of the mind into situations that had not yet arrived. But with preparation came dependence. Without tools, tasks felt harder than before. Hands felt incomplete. The world seemed resistant again. Tools also changed relationships. Someone skilled at shaping stone became valuable. Knowledge gained worth. Teaching emerged not as tradition, but as necessity. Yet tools introduced risk. A sharp edge could injure as easily as it helped. Control required attention. Mistakes left marks on skin, not just stone. Still, humans continued refining tools because each improvement multiplied their reach. Hunting became more efficient. Processing food became faster. Survival margins widened. And quietly, without ceremony, humans crossed another line. They were no longer just using what nature provided. They were redesigning it. As tools became more refined, they began shaping human life as much as humans shaped them. Because once an object improved survival, it changes priorities, movement, and social structure. Groups organized themselves around tool use. Hunts were planned with specific implements in mind. Tasks were divided based on skill. Someone shaped stone. Someone used it. Cooperation deepened around shared tools. The division of labor that tools encouraged became one of the earliest forms of social organization, binding individuals together through complementary abilities rather than shared strength. Tools extended the human body beyond its limits. Sharp edges replaced claws. Weight replaced strength. Precision replaced brute force. Humans could now face animals larger and faster than themselves with confidence instead of desperation. But this power introduced tension. Better tools meant better competition. Groups with superior tools survived more easily, expanding territory and influence. Inequality began not in wealth, but in capability. Days gained structure. Tasks were assigned moments. Rituals were fixed dates. What once flowed naturally now followed expectation. Humans began living by schedules long before clocks existed. The rhythm of life shifted from something felt internally to something imposed externally, and that shift was irreversible. This created order, but it also created anxiety. Missing the right moment could mean failure. Planting too early or too late could destroy years' work. Time became something to obey. Power began attaching itself to time. Those who control calendars control labor, worship, and rest. Festivals, taxes, and obligations followed time-keeping systems, not personal readiness. The ability to define when events occurred gave certain individuals and institutions authority over the daily lives of entire populations. Time also changed how humans understood aging and mortality. When moments were counted, life felt finite in a new way. Birth and death gained numbers. Generations were compared. Progress could be measured. The awareness of limited time transformed not only how humans planned, but how they felt about their own existence. Writing reinforced this shift. Dates recorded events. History became ordered rather than remembered loosely. The past turned into a timeline instead of a story. But precision created conflict. Different groups measured time differently. Calendars disagreed. Sacred days clashed. Empires imposed their systems on others, forcing time itself to become political. The calendar became a tool of control, and disputes over how to measure the year reflected deeper struggles over whose authority would govern daily life. Yet humans could not abandon measurement. Predicting eclipses, floods, and seasons proved too valuable. Trade relied on timing. Agriculture demanded accuracy. Societies expanded because time could be coordinated. Still, something subtle was lost. Spontaneity faded. Living in the moment became harder. Life increasingly felt like it was moving toward something rather than existing now. Time had become a ruler, and humans were learning to live beneath it. The climax of measuring time was not the invention of clocks, but the moment humans allowed time to govern their lives. Because once moments were counted, they carried weight. Days could be wasted. Years could be lost. Lives could feel rushed or delayed, not by nature, but by numbers humans themselves created. Time transformed from a guide into a judge. It dictated when to work, when to rest, when to celebrate, and when to mourn. Entire societies synchronized their lives to invisible divisions, trusting the system more than instinct. Yet the same structure unlocked extraordinary progress. Timekeeping allowed civilizations to coordinate across vast distances. Ships navigated by stars. Scientists predicted eclipses. History unfolded in sequence instead of myth. The ability to measure time precisely became the foundation for navigation, science, commerce, and governance, each one depending on shared agreement about when events occurred. The paradox was unavoidable. Measuring time gave humans control over the future, but it also pulled them out of the present. Life became something to manage rather than experience fully. Even today, this discovery defines us. We rush, schedule, count, and track, often forgetting that time was once something humans felt, not something they chased. What began as simple observation became a framework for existence itself. Time taught humans how to plan, and then taught them how to hurry. So what do you think? Are we still mastering time, or has time mastered us?